What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? This is your man, Derek Bridger with DB Mortgage Group, and I'm absolutely ecstatic to talk to you about the difference between down payment assistance programs versus first time home buyer grants. They are similar in a lot of ways, but they also have some major differences that we must keep in mind while deciding what will be the best for you in your situation. So, if you could bear with me a quick second here, I am simply going to share my screen and we're going to dive right into it. All right. So, yes. So, as you can see, purple's my favorite color, purple hoodie, purple bank logo, purple everything, right? So, here we go. So, the main difference between down payment assistance programs and first time home buyer grants is simply this. The main difference is a grant you don't have to pay back, and down payment assistance is exactly that. They're ultimately financing or helping you cover your down payment and or closing costs. That is the biggest difference. Now, one of the biggest misunderstandings is that they're free money. No, both of them are going to have a ton of conditions tied to it, right? For example, you may have to stay in a certain zip code or certain area. You may have to live in a house for 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years. There's always going to be some stipulation that says, hey, this is what you have to do in order to, get this program forgiven or to, pay off this down payment assistance. Now, the one thing that you have to remember that both of them, they're also always going to place a second lien on the property. So again, if you get this program or if you receive this help, that is their way of guaranteeing that the conditions necessary have been met. So again, they're going to keep the lien on the property for the 10 years if that's what it takes for the down payment assistance or first time home buyer grant to be forgiven. Or they're going to say, hey, you have to live in this certain zip code. When you try to move, again, those funds will be recouped. So again, the whole thing of this that I want you to understand is that one, this is not free money, and then two, that they will have a second lien on the property. So now let's get into the details. So we're going to start off with down payment assistance. So down payment assistance is exactly that. In most cases, it is basically saying, hey, you need help covering your down payment and closing costs, and you cannot get those closing costs from the seller, or you cannot get those closing costs from your own finances. And since down payment assistance is designed for that, a lot of times there are income restrictions tied to receiving down payment assistance. So as you go through the initial underwriting process, they're going to do what's called a needs-based financial analysis to actually determine how much money you need or how much that you qualify for. Or they may throw around a term called area median income, which basically means that, hey, the people in this particular area make this much money, or this is the average for this particular area, and this is where we're going to use our baseline to see whether or not you qualify or whether or not you don't qualify. Some down payment assistance programs will say, hey, if you make 80% of the area median income, then you're all good. Other down payment assistance programs will say, hey, you can make up to 120% of the area median income. Again, it's going to be on a case by case basis. Secondly, um, all down payment assistance programs and all first time home buyer grants typically have limited availability. There's typically a finite amount of money available. There is not a endless bank, a endless piggy bank, or endless anything. There's typically a certain amount of money available, and if you get it, you are absolutely welcome to it, but it's typically going to be on a first come, first served basis. Now, let's get into the first time home buyer grants. First time home buyer grants are really cool because they're exactly that. They are just grants, right? And so basically, when you meet a certain criteria, typically a first time home buyer, or in our terms, meaning that you haven't purchased a home within the last 3 years, you can qualify for a first time home buyer grant. Now, the whole caveat with first time home buyer grants is the money does not have to be paid back, but they're still going to place a second lien on the property until the conditions are met, and then two, once those conditions are met, you're going to have to typically go through a process to get the second lien released. Now, first time home buyer grants are really cool because, again, for the most part, that is money that does not have to be paid back so long as the conditions are met. As long as those conditions are met, you are typically able to get those grant proceeds as in other words, kind of as a gift, so long as the conditions are met. And again, a lot of times, since they're grants and they want you to live in certain areas and you're first-time home buyers, they have less, for the most part, as a general term, they have less qualification requirements than do the down payment assistance programs. So here it is. First-time home buyer grants versus down payment assistance programs. Both of them allow you to get into a home, and both of them will allow you to achieve the dream of home ownership. They just have a few other caveats that we need to all keep into consideration, but they're both great programs and great opportunities, and I highly, 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 highly recommend that you talk to your local mortgage broker, me, DB Mortgage Group, to see if you qualify. Feel free to reach out at any time. My QR code is right here, or you can just follow us on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, all at DB Mortgage Group. Thank you so much.